Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jupiter James, where I awaken the astrologer within you. You know, I really do feel that before a time of iPhones and I this and I that, we were a culture that were better able to attune ourselves to the universe and to the stars. And that way we were able to interpret the language of the universe and interpret our birth charts and our given maps so that we can understand what the universe wanted from us. That way we could get to our dreams quicker, faster, and stronger. So if that sounds good to you, let's get into it. Today we're going to get into Venus in the 8th house. Now, Venus in the 8th house is going to give me very much Scorpio vibes, or people who really like intense love and relationships and things in general. And so before we get into that, before we unpack the really deep placement of Venus in the 8th house, let's go ahead and just separate the aspects. That way, when we see these aspects individually pop up in our lives, we're better able to distinguish them and understand them out in the universe and out in other people and in other people's birth charts and just in our birth charts in itself, right? So let's take Venus. Venus in the birth chart is always going to be the planet of grace, beauty, harmony, and balance. It's also going to be the place in your chart where the universe has blessed you, where it has given you that place of ease. You know, whenever I see Venus in a chart, I go, okay, this is the area of life that comes naturally to this person. This is the area of life that this person doesn't have to lift a finger and everything goes well. It just is the way it is. It's always charmed or well received when this person does the thing that Venus is pointing to, depending on the house and the sign that it's under. Now, let's go to the 8th house. 8th house is always going to be, you know, the house of taboo. You know, I like to say that it's the place of non-dinner table talk. You know, they say at the dinner table, we don't talk about what? We don't talk about death, we don't talk about sex, and we don't talk about taxes. And that's the 8th house. 8th house is other people's resources. It's the money that you receive from other people. It's your in-laws. It's and it's also the connection. Like, you know, it's that intimate soul bonding that you may have with your friends or your family or your lover. More importantly, it's that place of like deep connection within people and person to person. It's also the house of magic and the occult and mystery, because this house is ruled by Scorpio, and it's also ruled by Pluto and Mars. And Pluto is the house of the hidden. It's the house of the occult. It's the house of power and obsession. And so yeah, think about Pluto. Think about how far away Pluto is and how no one really knows what Pluto is. And Pluto has this like shroud of energy around it that's just like, it's very mysterious and weird. And we'd rather just talk about Venus, Mars, and all the other planets that are fun and cool. But Pluto is like a big shoulder shrug. That's the 8th house. It's that mystery. It's that occultness. It's that, you know, it's debt and the debt you owe and taxes and whatnot. So that's the 8th house. And it's ruled by Scorpio. Remember that. No matter what sign your 8th house may be under, because remember, default out of the package charts, like a default birth chart will always be ruled by Scorpio, no matter what your sign is in your chart, if that makes sense. Like, depending on your rising sign or anyone's rising sign, that sign in the 8th house is going to change, but by default it's ruled by Scorpio. Now let's see what happens when we take Venus and we drop it into the 8th house. What happens there? So when I see this placement, I always say that this person really loves intense connections. They have an affinity. That's a good word. They have an affinity for people who are very mysterious and very dark, and just things that are very dark and mysterious. You know, they love intense situations, and they probably love to transform, because this is also the house of transformations. You know, they're probably really adept at getting others resources and money, and people probably want to give them money a lot or pay for their things a lot. Like, you know, they're the people that when they go to the bar, people want to buy them a drink to get their attention, or to have them talk to them, or they want to buy them things. This is a very big sugar baby placement. You know, if you want to be a sugar baby, Venus in the 8th. This is a very big OnlyFans placement. Like, this is, you see what I mean? So it's like, it's using your taboo sexual nature to get other people's resources. And think about how intense and dark and how kind of, I don't want to say shunned upon, but it is. It's a shunned upon work. This is very worker replacement. And if it's not, it's just someone who's really good at getting others resources. It could be the gold digger placement. It could be all those things that people are just like, okay, that person right there uses their sexual nature to get money and resources out of others, and they like it that way. They love intense situations and intense relationships and connections, and people who are very mysterious and just can like be very raw with them. They love raw, emotional, intense unions and connections. This person probably will also, when Venus is in the 8th house, will receive an inheritance from a woman or from someone in their family. They will receive an inheritance if they have not already. Or like a trust fund, you know, this gives me trust fund, baby, or like, and it could be from the mom or from the grandmother. It could be from a woman in your family that you receive this inheritance from. But with Venus, this also shows me, like when I see Venus in the birth chart, this could also show me like where you will meet your partner. But this also could be a time as well, because with this special placement, Venus in the 8th means that you will go through a lot of transformations, but those transformations will be for the better, and they will always be graced with ease. Like the transformation will feel like your own idea. They will feel like, okay, it's time for me to grow. It's time for me to change. It's time for me to elevate. It's time for me to assume the position. It will feel like your idea, and it won't be something that's too much for you to handle. You know, to others it may look like, wow, this person's going through it, or well, this person's always changing every 3 years. But for you, it will feel like the right thing. It will feel like it's time. It will feel like, and it will be easy. Things will happen in your universe, in your life, that will assist you in this transformation, or in the time when it's time to transform for you. But going back to what I was talking about Venus being the the planet of your lover. Now your lover will also be probably very beautiful, but also very intense, and they will probably be very sexual in nature, and you are like that as well. Like your love style is very sexual in nature. You are probably someone that is very deep and very intense, and you are only going to want a lover that matches that or balances that out. And you will probably meet your partner in somewhere that is taboo, or like at night at a club, or at a nightclub, or like a strip club, or like somewhere that's again taboo, somewhere that people don't really frequent that often. It's a place that people go to behind closed doors, or like, you know, you could meet someone in that type of situation, or in those type of environments, like a club or a strip club, or you know, I'm sure you can use your imagination. If you're an adult, you know, you will find your partner there in places that are taboo. And then you will also, what I really wanted to say is that this also for me indicates a certain timing with when you will meet your partner, because for most people it's like, oh, where? But with this placement, you will probably meet your partner when you are in the midst of transformation, when you are between blessings, and when you are on your road from being in one position to another. Or like, let me give you an example. Say you were like, say you quit a job that was a big career of yours, right? And you were at this job for maybe 10, 12 years, and one day you say, you know what, I quit, this is not for me, I'm done with this. And you are, in your mind, you're like, okay, you're in your transformative years now. I mean, you're in your transformation right now, in that moment, and you're going from one thing to another. When you drop something and you go to something else, and you're beginning to transform your life and the environments and the things that you were doing before, that's when you'll meet your partner. Does that make sense? You'll meet your partner when they are in the midst of doing that for themselves, when they are in that in-between space. You know, that in-between space in everyone's life where they drop something and they're hoping that they make their next ends meet by landing another job, or you know, they're in that in-between rocky situations. You will meet people. You meet a lot of people like that in general, to be honest. That's how you meet people. You probably come into a lot of people's lives when they are in that really rocky in-between moment in their life, that transformational period. That's what you do. You witness a lot of people's transformations as well with Venus in the 8th house. You probably witnessed a lot of that growing up as well, and that is why you were probably used to it and probably have an affinity for it, because you know what that feels like and you are comfortable with it. You can handle it. Like, a lot of people can't handle people who are going through a transformation. Usually they're like, you know what, girl, call me when you find a job, like, or I'll catch up with them when they're in a better place in their life. But for you, that's when you swoop in and you're like, you are that perfect friend, lover, family member that is able to be by someone's side in the midst of their transformations. And so, yeah, that's Venus in the 8th house. Venus in the 8th house is a very blessed placement. Again, you could be very good looking, very sexual, you can use your sexual nature to get other people's resources, and that's kind of a superpower that I would really suggest that you use in this life. I would not allow any societal conventions or any societal norms kind of browbeat you out of that. Don't allow the society to be like, oh, well, you're too sexual, or you're too this, or you're too that. Do it. If you have Venus in the 8th house, do it. Do you, boo. Alright, so that was my video. If you guys need a birth chart reading or any type of reading, hit my links below. I love you guys, and I will see y'all on the next video. Alright, y'all have a great day. Bye.